This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, hey everybody, my name is Alex. Gotta be, it's in the big red letters. Name of the show is The Ramble, and we're here until midnight tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, there he is. Well, I can't see him. You can't see him. The reason you can't see him is because he's a Luddite. Hello there, Larry.
Yes, hiding from the law. That's the main reason I do this.
Yeah, very few people that I can talk to that I can't see, because today you have things like Zoom. You know what Zoom is? Have you heard of Zoom?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, okay. The Zoom, as your mother would say. Hey, you doing the Zoom? Why is that that people do that? The older people, the internet, the Facebook,
or BART. They used to call it the BART.
The BART, exactly. I never could understand that. It just never made sense. But do you know the one? You know the one that's really difficult for me though. It is not the Ukraine. It is Ukraine.
Yes.
And every now and then I have a hard time. I suddenly go, the Ukraine. Whoops, Ukraine. Do you find yourself doing that?
I always call it Ukraine. Yeah, the Ukraine sounds like you would call that like if it were a series of countries melded together. You would call it the, but it's just a separate country.
Exactly. So it's Ukraine, but I think the Russians, to be nasty, call it the Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. It'd be like saying the California.
Yes, I'm going to the California. Oh boy. Anyway, how you doing, Larry?
Well, normally you and I are very pessimistic, but I actually feeling very optimistic about something that happened the past week.
Wait a minute. Don't tell me you found a career?
Oh, we gave up on that a long time ago.
Oh, okay. Well, what's optimistic here?
Well, it looks like they're going to do away with the time change.
Yes, but they're doing it the wrong way. It should just be, we're not going to daylight saving time. And then everybody could adapt to that. You get what I'm saying? I don't know why we said the daylight saving time, which is not the real...
It's not the real time.
Sidereal time, or whatever the term is. Not the real time, is now becoming the standard time, which puts us off, I think, from the rest of the world, doesn't it?
It does, but it's I just hate changing the clocks. I just pick one.
Well, that's fine, but I think it should be the standard time. Should be the time. Why they suddenly said we're going to daylight saving time. That's another one, by the way. It's not daylight savings time. It's daylight saving time. Right?
You're right.
Yeah. But I mean, I would just think that we would go with that as opposed to daylight saving time, because daylight saving time is kind of a false time. It's not the real physical, go by the stars, whatever time. So why don't you just say, okay, we're going to go with regular standard time. And when we get to the summer, all jobs can say, oh, you come to work an hour earlier or something like that. Right? And you go home an hour earlier, and then you have more sunlight to do things in. I don't know why... it's going to be really weird, I think, in the middle of winter, having, for instance, what do? We spring ahead, right? Mm-hmm. So we move the clocks ahead an hour. So really...
So it's going to be very dark in the morning during the winter.
Yes, in the middle of winter, and then at night, the sun won't go down until, 10 o'clock or something like that. I mean... It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work. And I don't think it works for you either, does it?
I'd rather have the normal time, but I just want to get away from this change in the clocks. It's so insane. Twice a year. It's just...
Well, here's a wonderful thing about technology, however. May I please present this to you, since you eschew it.
And you love technology.
Well, I don't love technology. I've gotten to the point where I actually hate technology. That I feel that everything you have can be used for good, it can be used for evil. And what's happened with the internet is it's basically been used for evil. All right? So the technology isn't all that good. It's also we rely too much on the technology. How many times you call someplace because you've got some issue with something, and she says to you the following, "My computer won't let me do that."
Right.
And you're trying to do something very simple, but her computer will not let her do that. One another evil, I talk about this a lot lately. Here's a real evil of technology. Have you ever gotten mail from your oven?
From my oven?
Yes.
No.
I have. I just got a new oven, okay? And in it has built-in Wi-Fi. Right?
Wow.
So I keep getting messages from it like, your oven is now self-cleaning. Your oven is now doing this. Or when Marjorie's cooking, the oven is now baking. Comes up on my watch. But the other day, I get a piece of email, and the email is from my oven saying, here's how much you baked, here's how much you broiled, here's how much you used the convection. And I went, I'm sorry. I kind of feel bad. Every time I go into the kitchen now, I'm paranoid my oven is watching me.
Certainly listening.
You know, is this all needed? You know, I mean, for you, obviously not, because you've lived without it.
Yeah. I don't know. Everything's collecting data on us. Aren't we drowning in data?
Well, you're not, because you aren't connected to data. I mean, you still have a flip phone.
But when you go out, aren't you hit by cameras and?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. You know, I mean, there's no privacy any longer.
Nobody seems to care either. They just kind of gave it up.
The only privacy I seem to get is in my own home. You know, I think here I can turn everything off if I want to.
Can you turn Alexa off?
Yeah, I can. I just press a button and turn her off. And I can also prevent her camera from being used.
Sounds like HAL, 1980, 2001.
Well, it is, you know, but what I'm saying is that the technology that I envisioned was a wonderful world in which everything was better, and it's not better. Today I get a call from somebody who wants to tell me that my repair service on my car isn't up or something like that, and I don't own a car. All right, but I get all these calls about my car.
I get those too.
Well, is that using technology for good?
No, it's robocalls, which I thought were illegal, but...
Yeah.
Remember the do not call list? How long did that last?
Well, I signed up for it, but I kept getting called. You know, the reason for that is that they can only stop calls that are done within the United States, but none of these calls are done from the United States. They're done from foreign countries. And even though it comes up having, like in your case, a 415 area code, that's spoofed, as they call it.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works, and I don't know how to do it. And if I knew how to do it, I still wouldn't do it, because I consider that's a bad thing to do. So...
Well, it let us down. It had such hopes with the Internet.
Well, I've gotten to the point where I just have gone, you know, all this wonderful world that I dreamed was the future. I mean, the future is now. I'll give you another example of something of the future. This has nothing to do with technology. I think you can appreciate this. Do you remember the city of the future? How it looked? You know? and it was all these gleaming buildings and so on and so forth. Oh, stop it! That's my watch going off. See, my watch just went off.
And they have the elevated highways.
Yeah, well, I look out, and believe it or not, the landscape or the skyscape or the skyline of New York has completely changed even since I moved in here, and I can see it from here. All right, I may not be able to in a while because they'll build old tall buildings in front of me, but what they've started doing is they started putting up these pencil thin buildings.
That's what I heard. These really thin buildings, yeah, they go like a mile high.
They're like a mile high, but they're very thin. The reason they're thin is they found a bodega they bought, and then they built it on that footprint. You know, and they are. I can't decide whether they're ugly or just futuristic. So I don't know.
I think they're ugly.
I think they're ugly, and slowly also they're building buildings impeding my view, which I have a great view of Manhattan from here. You know, just wonderful view. And so that's going to go the way of all flesh. I mean, I just don't see where all this modernization, and I may sound like a 42-year-old fart, okay, but I don't see where all this modernization is particularly helping us. I mean, has the existence of Facebook helped us?
No.
I don't think so. I can't think of any function that Facebook does which has positive value on my life. You know? Outside of the fact that I have 5,000 friends, most of which don't even know me. You know? So they've also, by the way, cheapened the term friend.
Yeah, that's quite a friend.
You know, a friend was somebody you knew, you've known him for years, you went to school with him. Hey, things are bad for you. Here, I'll loan you some money. Oh, I'm bad for me. He'll loan me some money. That's a friend, okay? A friend is not somebody who simply can sign up to be your friend. And they've cheapened the word friend.
And it also makes people fight and hate each other on social media. It's just pretty much a social war.
Yeah. I mean, is there any positive value, folks? Let me ask you this. To Twitter. If Twitter did not exist right now, how would the world change? Maybe for the better, actually. But
be a lot less bickering, yeah.
A lot less bickering. But outside of that, I mean, what does it add to our society? And the answer, I believe, is zero. Absolutely zero.
Yes, it's not a plus.
And Facebook, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, YouTube, I like. Not only because my show is on YouTube live, but because YouTube, I can go to YouTube and get just a tutorial on anything. You know?
Yeah, I heard you can actually learn how to fix your own car if you got YouTube.
If you got YouTube. There was a guy, there was this show called Grand Design in England where they build houses. People are building houses, and they follow them building their house. Okay? And this one couple built their house themselves using nothing but YouTube information. You know, how to pour concrete, how to do this, how to do that. Now, to me, YouTube has a real value in that respect.
Yeah.
You know, as an educational tool or whatever. Of course, it's not vetted, so you don't know that the guy who's telling you how to pour concrete really knows how to pour concrete. You know.
Yeah.
You may find yourself with a big slab of crap, you know. But, I mean, but outside of that, I mean, do these things have any value? You know, and people so rely on them, you know. I mean, how many people have Facebook pages, and how many times a day do they check that Facebook page?
I know people that are literally on there posting stuff every 10 minutes. The entire day.
You know what I hate? People who go out to dinner and photograph their food.
Yeah, that's always a big one. Yeah.
Yeah, and they put that. Yeah, by the way, folks, technology has made it possible now for us to take a picture of our food at dinner and put it up in a place where everybody can see it. Wow, what an advance for civilization. I mean, come on. Facebook has absolutely no reason for existence.
Maybe it'll die someday.
Oh, it'll die, but it'll be replaced by something more disgusting, you know. I mean, already there's certain things that have replaced other things. I mean, for instance, you have Zoom, and Zoom is really, I think Zoom may actually be positive in a lot of ways, because Zoom seems to be able to operate in even a war zone. I mean, Zelensky, when he's on TV and they see him at the, in Congress and whatever, is doing it through Zoom. So, I think there's a positive value to Zoom. I think that right there, because you are seeing each other, it's far more communicative than a lot of the other, like Twitter and things like that. Because you actually have to deal with people face to face. You would know about that because you don't have any kind of thing that can do Zoom.
I know a bunch during the pandemic. A lot of comics did shows on Zoom, although apparently it doesn't really translate.
No, I
very
wouldn't.
well.
Look, I'm the big comedy maven, right? Do you think I decided to get you and Kravitz and everything to do on the air comedy session? No, because it doesn't work.
No.
I mean, it's a certain art form that demands a stage and an audience. Okay, and you can't do it on Zoom. I mean, you can try, but it's not going to be terribly successful.
No.
So,
Well, I think it started with TV was the precursor of the internet. I remember when TV first came out, didn't they say, this is going to make people so much more intelligent?
Well, I mean, again, it's how okay, you're handed the tool, and it's how you use that tool. You can take a shovel and you can use it to dig a hole and then maybe build a building where you dug the hole, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you can haul off and hit somebody over the head and kill them, right?
Yeah.
So it's how you use that tool, and I just think a theory of diminishing results. That given new tools, society will embrace them for all the wrong reasons. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
But then again, you and I are pessimists, aren't we?
We're pessimists, and then people hate us.
I'm trying to think. Am I a pessimist? I mean, I've always been.
I think you and I are. I think we're realists, and
I think
most
it's
people
realist.
don't want to hear how bad things are, so that's why they don't like what they call pessimists.
Yeah. I mean, are people listening to us right now talking about the internet going, oh, listen to those two old farts? They don't know what they're talking about. But, I mean, even before Al Gore did, I helped invent the internet. So, it's...
Yes, you had more than Al did, I think.
Yeah. But, I mean, I was always in there in the very... You remember me. Every piece of technology I embraced. I was the first guy I ever knew that had a videotape recorder that I could take out and take pictures with.
I remember when you had that. Yeah, this must have been 83.
You weren't here in New York when I had a portable machine that weighed about 20 pounds that I could put over my shoulder and a big clunky camera that hooked to it with a cable. And, they're calling me again. I wonder what this is going to be about. Hold on a second. Let me see here. Hello?
Yes, hello?
What?
Yes, it's Amazon.
Oh, this is Amazon.
Yeah, so give you a call before I get to the building?
You want to get into the building? Okay.
No, I'm already in the building. You want to bring it on up?
Yes, would you bring it up please, to the 8th floor?
No problem.
Okay, thank you. All right.
No problem.
Okay. This is very nice, actually. Here we are. We're talking about all the horrible things technology does, and I just answered my phone on my watch because Amazon wanted to deliver a air conditioner I ordered, and wanted to know if I wanted them to bring it up.
That was good timing.
See? So there is a moment in which technology works.
A rare positive moment.
Well, I got to tell you, for all that I'm saying nasty about technology, I love this Apple Watch for exactly that reason. People who I know can message me on it. I can do a lot of things. It's kind of changed my life in a lot of ways.
It's like the Dick Tracy two-way wrist radio.
Well, I'll tell you something I did in the house here. Again, Alex has to embrace technology, right? So what I did is a lot of my lights, like I go, Echo. Wait a minute, hold on a second. Echo, turn on office, and then all the lights in the office go on. See? Mm-hmm. Now, is that bad or good?
I would just get up and turn it on myself. It wouldn't help me.
Well, yeah, that means I have to go across the room and turn the light on. Here, I don't have to do that. Does that make sense?
Yes, but you're not an invalid.
I'm close to it. No, but here's the thing. Marjorie, when I first put in that situation, got all really, what are you doing that for? Oh, we just go turn the lights on. Now, every time she wants to turn on a light in the house, she talks to the Alexa and turns it on. And she can't live without it. So what we do is we come up on a piece of technology that, hey, we got along without it, I mean, I used to get along without all the phones and everything. I had a phone with a cord and a dial, right?
Right.
I got along with that phone. I thought it was a wonder of the age, a telephone. I can do it and call, well, I couldn't call California with much clarity, but, The point I'm making is that we lived without the new technology, but once we got the new technology, we were dependent upon it. And it did make our lives appreciably better. But lately, technology isn't making it appreciably better. I mean, my life is not better because I can turn on the light with my voice. But Marjorie is now every light she turns on in the house, hello. We use the term ECHO. I can't say it, otherwise she lights up. And we do that, and it just you become so used to it that. And actually, I can turn the lights on in this room from any of my Alexas. By the way, you know how many of them I have in this house?
Probably a zillion.
I have 5 of them.
Wow.
And a couple of most of them have video in them, so I can actually make a call, for instance, and talk to somebody and see them on it. On the other hand, I will tell you that I do think that the Alexa system, which you know about, right? You know it exists, all right?
Right.
Is maybe one of the best little inventions that they've had, because it's useful in the home. You can use it to turn on lights, to start your oven. I can do that with the oven. You can use it for a lot of reasons, and I can do it from anywhere in the house. So there's something positive, I think, about that little invention. All right?
Well.
Yeah. But you seem to just be afraid of technology. That seems to be what I see. You seem to have a fear that you won't be able to use it. Hey, why should
I don't. Things don't work well, and then I throw them and break them.
You throw them and
yes,
break?
I get very frustrated with inanimate objects that don't work.
Can you name something you broke recently because of it?
Let's see. I've thrown several transistor radios against the wall. I once threw a stereo out my window here.
Really?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. Okay.
Yeah, I throw things. So.
Oh well, he's a thrower, folks.
That's why I can't get married.
He's a destroyer of technology. Do you have a feeling maybe one night you'll be lying in bed and all of a sudden all your devices in your apartment will be surrounding your bed and saying, "You killed one of us. Now we're coming for you.
That'd be a great. That'd be a great movie.
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks. Hey, let's talk next week. How's that?
We will. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Larry. I don't care about technology. Bubbles. I'm not going to get a phone that is a smartphone. I'm not going to get a TV that's a smart TV. But I'm smart and I don't need those smart things. Brown. Thanks, Bubbles.
Thank you, Alex.
This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Here we go. Yeah. And once again tonight, nobody is waiting to go on. Jeff Stein was there for a couple of minutes and then he disappeared. So I know a lot of this has to do with the basketball crap that's going on. But, it's enough for me to give up the ghost on all of this. So I don't know. I'm really frustrated and I'm insulted and everything else, okay? Last night we actually had a pretty good show, to tell you the damn truth. But it all had to do with the fact that we just had a nice group of people. Well, we got a couple of people here. Jeff Stein is here once again, and so is Josh Wheeler, who is always can be counted on a Friday night. By the way, Jeff, you got to move your face into the picture. And move your face into the picture. There we go. And then you need to take a Kleenex or something and clean your lens, because it's really foggy. Yeah. And then we don't have audio on you right now either. So I don't know. Anyway, let me do this so that you can see what's going on. See how foggy he is? I mean, he looks like he's 18 again, but no, turn that off. Turn that off.
Trying to.
There you are. I can hear you.
Jeff?
But you got to turn off. You got to turn off the audio. Got to turn off the audio.
Face into the picture. There we go. And then you
got to turn off the audio.
Your lens.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Jeff, kill your browser. Just kill the browser.
Have audio on you.
I guess somebody will now just.
I don't know, hell of a time to stop it.
Anyway, let me.
I'm gonna do it this way.
Well, that's one way of doing it. Hi, Phil. Thanks for joining me tonight. And same thing with Brian. Brian, are you not interested in basketball? I would think you are.
Warriors ended an hour ago and they lost. That's the only basketball I care about.
Okay, so I've got you for the rest of the Final Five, right?
Yeah.
Is it Final Five or 4 or 3 or 2 or 1 or what?
Final Four. Is Phil staying here though?
Yeah,
if you want.
I thought he was a guest. I just turned it on. So
yeah.
Could have used you last night, Phil. Thanks a lot.
Well, I went to sleep early, and I didn't realize that there was a problem until I woke up and listened to a few minutes of the show. But it was already after 9 that I discovered the issue. And, I was listening for a couple of minutes, and Alex said that nobody had called. Well, you and Josh are nobody. I know you guys aren't chopped liver.
Hey, we had 50% more broads on the show than we usually do.
Yeah.
Well, yes, because we had Pamela.
Oh, it's different. Sorry, yeah. Pam and Tiffany.
And
it
Tiffany.
Was nice.
Yeah. Oh, here comes Tony.
Yeah, Tony said he fell asleep. He left me a message.
He fell asleep. How many messages?
I'm sure he left you many messages.
Here's how the message went. I, ding, fell, ding, asleep, ding. Right, Tony?
No, he leaves a minute at least.
Oh, really?
He may leave like 10 of those.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, Tony, let me explain to you that these wonderful things we have called instant messaging is not the same as a telephone. It's not we're going to sit down and talk for a half hour. Okay?
I know.
It's a quick message to say, I'm either coming over to your house or I'm not coming over to your house, or I'm sick today, talk to you later. You know.
I was tired this morning. I was. I watched
Or to
basketball.
warn Brian that I'm getting on the show.
I do that. I do the texting too much instead of like one message. I just keep. It's like a bad habit. I have to admit.
Well,
that. I'm
well,
not
you
even joking.
better stop it. I mean, it doesn't matter to me because I blocked you already. You can't ever message me. You could be dying and need help, and I wouldn't be able to help you.
I'll have to call Shecky. Tell Alex I'm not.
I think he's blocked you too. You know.
Well, now, what's his name? Tony says to me today, tell Alan to unblock me.
Yeah.
So I said today, Alan got hit by a train, so he can't.
Well, guys,
He just got hit by a bus. I said, well, he's not lucky.
I was going to ask you something, Alex, and even Phil and Brian. I was watching a documentary. Somebody sent it to me on San Francisco. That Tenderloin district is dangerous, it looks like.
That's where Larkin lives.
That's where Larkin
Yeah, I was
lives.
going to ask you that.
Yeah.
As Chappelle says, it's not too tender in that area.
It always was a bad part of
Was
town.
it bad, Alex, back
It
then?
was always a bad part of town.
It was?
You know, I mean,
It was our Skid Row.
it was our Skid Row. Yeah.
But it's right next to Union Square too, right? So it's sort of right on the border of a nice area, you know, with Tiffany's and Macy's and all those stores, and then you go a few blocks and you got
Tiffany's, which is the store by
convenient.
the way that Brian's. What is that? That Brian's wife owns. She owns that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tiffany's.
I wouldn't be calling this show. I'd be calling Joe Rogan or something.
You know, Tiffany's was owned by Hallmark Cards.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if they still own them, but they were owned by Hallmark.
But they weren't started by Hallmark.
No. Louis something Tiffany started it in the 1800s.
Yeah, and I think I don't think it was owned by
Louis
Hallmark.
Comfort Tiffany. That's his name.
When I first
Louis
came to
Comfort.
New York, it wasn't owned by Hallmark.
It was a while ago, but maybe. You know, I mean, it was in the last 30 years.
Start New York?
I got to look that up because I don't believe you.
Yeah, well, at one time, Tiffany was owned by Hallmark.
Everybody want a drink? Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let me just go to my...
Yeah, just say, was Tiffany's owned by Hallmark Cards?
Is Tiffany's.
Or was. I don't know if it still is.
Is it's two F's. Tiffany owned by Hallmark. So far, nothing's coming up, so I don't think it's
It was a ways. It was at least the 90s.
Tiffany Sterling Martin. Does Tiffany Jewelry have a Hallmark? Who owns Tiffany's? Here we go.
Yeah.
Tiffany and Company, parent organization. What is Tiffany and Company Hallmark? No, that's Hallmark would be the thing they stamp into the silver. No, it's not owned by Hallmark.
It was owned by Hallmark.
No, it's not, and it wasn't owned by Hallmark. Here,
At one time,
hold on,
it was
everybody.
owned by Hallmark.
Ready, Brian?
Yeah.
I gotta go get Mars.
I'll find it. I'll find it.
Yeah, you'll find it. Hey, Josh, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
You know what? I wanted to ask you something. Somebody mentioned I should admit, if you called last night, I should ask you, but here you are tonight. I'm going to ask you. What about how do you feel how the Republicans handled the Supreme Court nominee? Wasn't that embarrassing?
Yeah, some of it was pretty dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have some sort of disagreement, philosophically, or you just want to explore that, I mean, I think that's perfectly fine. But, there are other things that I just didn't see as it's not really pertinent or useful. So it's obviously, it's just you know, that the best thing they could probably do, I mean, I know this is, you know, against our American democracy or whatever, but if they were to not put those on television, everyone would basically just say, yeah, I don't have any questions.
Yeah, you're right.
You know,
You're
she can
absolutely
leave, right?
Yeah.
You know, so I mean,
They're all doing it for
they're all-
show. They're doing it for their election this year, or they're doing it because they plan on running for president, and they want this as a soundbite. But you know,
yeah, I mean, where else can you get 30 uninterrupted minutes on 9 channels?
But it seems like they all got on the same bandwagon. Oh, let's ask her about pornography.
Right.
Does she support pornography? I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, it made no sense at all. And I don't think I even think a lot of Republicans were embarrassed by it, because those are 3 of the most embarrassing Republicans in Congress.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that stuff is it's not healthy, and it's not. I mean, it doesn't accomplish anything that's genuine. I mean, it accomplishes, I suppose, some political things, in the mudslinging area, or just cheap points, or, fundraising or whatever. But it doesn't really break down anything, for the judge, and for the. The qualifications of the job, how you would do the job, it's stupid, really. And I mean, and I don't care what party it was this time or whatever, overall, all of these nomination processes in the last, certainly the last 5 or 6 have just turned into real sideshows, and it's a real shame. I mean, all of them have. I mean, this particular case was Republican members of the Senate, acting a fool. But I'm not going to say that we haven't had the same thing happen previously, from other senators. I mean, I don't care for it at all. You know what I'm saying? It's out of hand, and it's not doing any good. The damn things are on TV. I mean, I think they should be open, but maybe instead of putting it on, CNN or whatever, maybe we just keep it to C-SPAN. And if it's something you care about, you go watch it. But I mean, these guys.
Wouldn't they still act up, because they're
media.
even being on C-SPAN? Wouldn't they use it as a forum to act up?
Oh, I'm sure they still would. Yeah, I'm sure that wouldn't fix the problem. And look, I mean, that's sort of a joke. I mean, realistically, we never really want to curtail our democracy or our access to lawmakers. We certainly do have and should have the right to see and monitor everything that they say and do in these kind of proceedings, and we would never want to give that up. It's just a shame that they have turned it into what they have. And the reason that they have turned it into what they have is because we have allowed them to.
Would you say that the Democrats were just as guilty of the same thing with the Kavanaugh hearings, for instance?
Yeah, I don't like the way they did that, at all. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not saying that I think that he's a great guy or whatever, and he should have, gotten a free pass. I mean, I think he's obviously a not a very decent human being, and I'm not very fond of him, in particular. But overall, the proceedings have become just, I mean, they're ridiculous. I don't know of a better word to use for it. They become ridiculous. And I can guarantee you that if there is a Republican president, and it doesn't matter who it is. I mean, any Republican president, 3 years from now or 5 years from now or whatever, and they nominate even a decently qualified person who turns out not to have all these allegations or whatever, it'll still turn into a sideshow. I mean, it just will.
Well, also, I mean, it makes you be very careful about who you put up for nomination, because anybody who has even any kind of questionable background,
right,
is a problem. But what do you think of her? I think that she's terrific, to tell you the damn truth.
Oh, I think she's certainly. Yeah, I mean, she's qualified enough. Yeah. I mean, if you have some issue with her judicial philosophies in some spots, well, then so be it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's life in the judicial process. I mean, you're not going to have any sort of 100% agree. There's no perfect candidate. I said at the beginning that I don't care for the president nominating her and saying, oh, she's somebody who brings people together or whatever. It's like, no, I'm not. That's an arbitrator. That that's a negotiator who comes in and helps the union in a business solve their dispute. That's not a judge. A judge says, this is what the law says, and this is what we're going to do. And if one of you leaves dancing a jig and the other leaves in tears, well, I mean, that's so be it. That's not really my concern. I can't factor that into things. So, like I said before, I get why he says things like that because it sounds really good on the nightly news or whatever. But, she's done a nice job. I mean, it's just one of those things where I'm sure she knows and has been coached that you're going to have to, if you want to have this dream job for 30 years, you're going to have to basically sit there for 16 hours and
put up with being
try not to fucking punch anyone in the face.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is probably difficult,
yeah,
but overtly necessary. I mean, I wish that it wasn't.
Okay, and now the other question, of course, facing the Supreme Court is the current Clarence Thomas debacle.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? I mean, there are people who say...
Well, I mean, look, I get why everyone is going to be up in arms about that, and there's 4 or 5 editorials in the Washington Post right now about it, and I understand. But I still... I mean, I haven't seen any proof or even anything in that area that Justice Thomas was involved in any of that. I mean,
well, they do say
I don't subscribe to like a
yeah.
newsletter where I'm
Yeah.
a fan of his or anything, but I'm just saying,
Well,
if his wife is a loony bin, then his wife is a loony bin.
Yeah, but
I mean,
but there are some questions about the way he has ruled recently. For instance, on Trump turning over his papers, he was the only judge who said he should. Okay,
Yeah.
So that makes people a little suspicious, and I think that the fact that people get suspicious over these things is every reason for him to think about resigning.
Well, I don't. I mean, if people get suspicious about it, then they get suspicious about it. Good for them.
Yeah.
I mean, if we had some sort of real indication that he went home and at dinner his wife said, "Now you're going to rule this way," and then, "Oh yes, dear," then yeah, I think.
Well, there
that
were
would
two
be a problem.
occasions in which
I don't.
One of them was the one that I mentioned. There was also one other situation. I'm trying to remember that he voted a certain way that was suspicious as well, when everybody else was voting the same way, a different.
Well, I don't really know that I would call it suspicious. I mean, I'm just saying that Justice Thomas has always marched to his own drum, and
whatever that drum might be.
Plenty of other. There are other circumstances throughout his long tenure there where he has been the only judge, or maybe one of two, that did not agree. He just has a judicial philosophy that does not agree with,
right,
most other judges in the mainstream now. And I don't like his wife, and I think that she's, maybe hit her head hard or something and should get that looked at. But I'm just saying that if my company stands for diversity and inclusion and all this other stuff, and if my wife is in the KKK, then is my work going to fire me now? I mean, maybe.
Well, no,
I don't know.
No,
I mean,
I think you have a valid point there. Phil had his hand up. Yes, Phil.
Yeah, it was a friend of mine today who listens to the show and probably hear this, was telling me about Virginia Thomas. And there was about 29 texts to the White House Chief of Staff to try to overturn Mark Meadows to overturn the election. I wasn't aware of it before, but it's interesting. And I think Josh has a point. If my significant other was into some unusual activity, as long as it wasn't unlawful, then it has nothing to do with me.
I think he probably should recuse himself from anything that has to do with January 6th and Trump.
Why?
Why? Because it's suspicious. It just carries with it a certain amount of suspicion.
But he's not personally involved. He didn't make tweets that said
no. That's not the point. That's not the point. He just should recuse himself from those cases so as to not appear to be biased and not to have anything that might be suspicious.
He's a judge. He should be able to rule without bias.
Yeah, but come on, Phil.
It's his job.
We're talking about Clarence Thomas.
Yeah, we're talking about somebody
who finds pubic
levels.
hairs on Coke bottles. This is the guy.
Yeah, well, it's Coke cans, but
Coke cans. Okay.
He's reached this level. I think that he's professional enough to look beyond what somebody else wants or doesn't want.
What do you think, Josh, about that? I mean, about recusing himself in cases involving Trump or July or January 6th?
I don't know that I'm in favor of it, because if he starts recusing himself from anything where there's like that, I mean, then he's saying to me, then I am compromised. But I mean, I don't see where he falls into the category that he is. I mean, he's never spoken publicly about the election. He didn't attend the rally. He's never signaled support for the people in the rally. I mean, he's quiet. He never says anything, which is part of his mantra on the court. He doesn't ask a lot of questions. I mean, I'm just saying, if someone shows me some proof, an email from him, a recording where his wife is talking to Mark Meadows on the phone and he's in the background, yeah, preach, or something along those lines. I mean, I think that would change things, but until you've seen any of that, I suppose that, especially on the U.S. Supreme Court, I am going to lean towards a judge is not corrupted until you prove to me that he is.
Okay.
Because if he is, I think that's a very poor and a very sad state of affairs for the U.S. Supreme Court. I think that he is in a world of his own with certain judicial philosophies. I don't like many of them. I think that his colleagues don't like them, but he's there, and it's his right to use whatever logic he chooses to decide, and that's what he operates by. I mean, it's no different than any other.
I wonder if he got home and
just read things different ways, and that's kind of how it is.
I wonder if today when he came home and his wife was there, he said, "I had to spend 5 days in the hospital to come home to this."
Well, I mean, that's yeah. I mean, and for all the people that are saying that he must believe everything she believes, and they're in cahoots, there is just as equally a 50-50 chance, right? It is just as equal that every time she does something like this, he goes, "Oh my fucking God." I mean, you're killing me.
Yeah.
I mean, how do we know that they're not at home tonight arguing where he is saying,
Shut your goddamn mouth.
Could you just shut up for like a day? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think people are rolling their eyes at that because they hate him, and that makes it easier to hate him. But how do we know that that's not what's happening there? Now, maybe he did go home and be like, "Yeah, you scored one for our team tonight." Well, then you know what? He's a real piece of shit. And if we can get some proof of that, I would be fine with trying to have him thrown off of the court, because he will have violated every rule of decorum.
Well, unfortunately, we can't be a fly on that wall.
Right.
Yeah.
But but I haven't seen that. Now look, if you show, I mean, it's not easy to defend someone you don't like, but I have to do it because I just think that I don't even know if I'm defending him. I'm just defending the idea of, that I just don't. I mean, I get people don't like him, but I mean, we have to let that be what it is, you know. And I mean, I just, you know, the Washington Post is out tonight, like I said, with their editorials. I just read one, you know, this is a problem for the court. You know, the integrity of the court. Why? I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
Like I said,
because he's a Supreme Court justice, and he's the only one who voted against. He's the only one who voted in favor of Trump.
Okay.
And we need to know what he knew. We need to know what he knew and when he knew it.
Well, now Ray,
what he knew and when he knew it.
Ray brings up a very good point there, that we should know something about that. You know, was his decision made because his wife put the bug in his ear? We don't know. But Ray makes a point here. You know, I mean, there's certain questions that have to be answered here. I mean, don't we want that court to be as honest as is humanly possible?
And he should have recused himself.
I think they put their opinions out, and everything that you need to know is in their opinion.
Mm-hmm.
How they reach that, you know, as a group is as a group.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't have that debated in an open forum. I mean, I understand that people think that you should, but you know, the reason that you can't debate that in an open forum is the same reason that the Constitutional Convention was closed to the press and closed to the public and was leak proof for, you know, 90 days, because the framers understood that we need to be able to talk openly and freely and float an idea without people going completely apeshit right after we do. And then we can't get in. It's the same reason, you know, that we can't debate how to fix Social Security or something right now. Because as soon as someone says, well, do you think we should raise the retirement age? Half of the country, oh my God, are you fucking crazy? You know, I mean, they have to be able to go in a room and put things out and say what they have to say and try to come to some conclusions. I mean, you know, I'm for transparency in government, but there are times when that should be limited. I mean, there's not a camera in the Situation Room for a reason, you know. I mean, that's the way sometimes government has to work. So, you know, we're not going to have that access, and I don't think we should. I mean, I personally, I don't get the notion of what did he know and when did he know it. So what do you want to do? Do you want to subpoena his wife and ask her about her personal conversations with her husband? Yeah, because there's no spousal privilege to be protected there. I mean,
Ray has something he wants to say here.
I'm sorry. If Clarence Thomas knew about these texts, he should have recused himself. We need to know if he knew about the text. You're the one who just said we need to be open and talk about things. We need to know.
I don't know why he would need to recuse himself if he did know about the text. How do you know he didn't know about the text and rolled his eyes and said, my wife's a nut job, but it has nothing to do with my work?
It actually.
I mean, I go to work every day, and what my wife thinks or does, I don't.
But you're not a Supreme Court justice.
About, you know,
no. Ray does have a good point here when he says you're not a Supreme Court justice. I mean, we have to hold him to a higher standard.
It doesn't matter. I have to make a decision about whether or not we should fire a guy who has 5 kids with 3 of them in college, and my wife might say, "Man, you really got to give that guy a second chance. He's got 5 kids and 3 of them are in college. You can't fire him, baby." But we have an operation to run. We have
talking about the third branch of the government.
I mean, yeah, and you're talking about a person's livelihood. I mean,
one person, not the entire nation.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Tony, quit playing with Zoom.
I like it.
Also, look at the Republicans over the Hunter Biden thing. They went apeshit. If this was Joe Biden or a Democrat, they would be all over it. They would be trying to force him out.
Yes, but we all sat here during that saga and said that was a ridiculous notion. At least I did.
On this call, right? I understand that. I'm just saying
this is just as stupid as that.
Oh, okay. Did you read the text? Did you hear the text?
I've seen some of what was played in the news. I mean, listen, his wife's out to lunch.
His wife's a loony bin. There's no question about it.
I'm not saying Clarence Thomas should be impeached or anything like that. I just think that because of this insurrection, which is something that hasn't happened in this country ever. We need to know if one of our Supreme Court justices was trying to protect his wife or.
Are you there?
But what evidence that he did that is present? His wife sent some text messages, not to him, but to other parties not connected to him. I mean, so 3 weeks from now, the Supreme Court issues a ruling that you don't like, and there's a single justice that is the dissenting justice. And so what are we going to do? Are we going to say, how could he be the only one who didn't agree with the other 8?
No, but this
Here
came up
is a
after
warrant
the text.
for your phone and your computer, and we want to take a look at it and see if you were compromised.
Well, let's let some
That never would have been an issue without the text from his to the chief.
You're breaking up on us, Ray. Ray?
They got him.
See, when he's walking down the street, we can't even see him because it's so dark right now out in California.
I mean, I understand the point there, but he didn't send the text, and they weren't sent. I mean, I still don't care. I mean, I don't care if his wife broke the law. I mean, he didn't.
Okay.
But in the text, was she implying that she talked to her friend or something that was going to take care of it?
Well, wait a minute.
Also,
that was a line she had. She said, "I was talking to a friend, my best friend today," and that
they
is
call each other best friend in public all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
You can find it everywhere.
I hope we start prosecuting people with this type of evidence in our court system, because
It's not prosecuting.
we're all going to end up in jail for something.
I don't
It's
say
not prosecuting. It's a. Gee, I gotta stop. Sorry.
No, don't get all upset.
I don't say prosecute, but I say something has to be at least said or looked into something.
I think it should be investigated. You know, so
well, I'm just saying, I'll remember that when someone on this panel.
No, but I think it should be. I think it should
innuendo one of these days. I mean, it's just not. I mean, we have rules of evidence and order in this nation, and
yeah, but wait,
you want to subvert it because you don't like this.
I think it should be investigated for 2 reasons. Number one, for the benefit of Clarence Thomas, so that he is not under suspicion if it turns out to not be a problem, and also for our own peace of mind that we have a man there who is acting on his own. Yeah, what are you holding up, Phil?
Clarence is guilty. I am going to try him and convict him because I am now judge, jury, and executioner on the Contra Costa District Attorney's Restorative Justice Program.
Oh, okay, fine.
I tell them when
Nobody's saying anything,
and when they're not.
Mute him.
Yeah, mute him. Yeah.
So I'm the closest thing here to a judge.
No one's saying anything like that.
You're not even close, Phil.
That's scary.
You're not even close.
Well, if there's a misdemeanor or infraction, I get to decide.
Yeah, and I was mayor of Emeryville for a day, so
I know you were.
Yeah.
They give you the key to the city?
They did, but I had to go and dig it up from the muck and mire in the swamp to go get it. But
I was mayor of Sunnyvale when I was a Boy Scout for a day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I have a newspaper. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to vote on some stuff and everything.
Yeah. I was actually.
I don't even know how that happened.
I was a mayor.
I wrote an essay or something.
Yeah, I was mayor of Emeryville for a day until they impeached me. So. By the way, I want to ask Brian something. This is a very important question. Here we're talking about weighty political questions, and I'm going to throw in a really stupid question. What is you eat every time I see you? You're sucking on a keto bar.
Yes.
Okay, which I turned you on to, and we both agree is absolutely yummy.
Yes.
Okay, what's the best part about it? The chocolate or the ice cream itself?
The chocolate. First the chocolate, because I chip it off.
Mm-hmm.
And then I let the ice cream sort of sit a little bit, and then it's really soft.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, we take ours. We take them out of the freezer and we put them on the sink counter for about 7 minutes. I think. That's the best amount, and then they're just right. Yeah.
It just melts a little bit, and it just melts in your mouth.
The only thing that we have a problem with is that when we do bite into it, the chocolate flakes off very easily.
That's why I picked the chocolate off first.
Very smart. I have to mention that to Marjorie that we
Yeah,
should do that.
The only bad thing about it is I want to eat like 4 of those tonight.
back to heady topics. I came up with a thing Biden should do. Okay, if he wants to take his rating from what is it right now on the 43 or something like that, huh?
In the dumper.
Well, 43 or whatever. I could literally change it for him overnight to where he'd be up in the 60s or 70s.
Stop robocalls.
No. What robocalls?
If he stopped robocalls,
no,
he'd be a hero.
Where is he right now tonight?
Poland.
He's in his place holed up in Delaware.
No, he's
no. He's in
Oh
Poland.
no, he's that's right. He's in Brussels.
He's in Poland.
Yeah,
I
thought he was in Brussels.
No, he's in Poland, and he's about a mile away from the Ukrainian border. You know what I would do? I would take his best black suit ops, get in a car, and go over the border and go meet with Walensky. I think if he did that, he doesn't have to announce it. He can do it and then show the video of it afterwards. But if he did that, how do you think his approval rating would?
You're right. That would be a good thing. That'd be like a movie type.
Go down in Russia.
I think at the end of the day, everybody's looking at the inflation, and that's where they're gonna choose.
But don't you think that would help his numbers a great deal?
No, I don't know. If the gas pumps stay where they are, if the wood, I just went to get wood, is outrageous still.
But
all these things, if the inflation stays at where it is, and raises are going 3%, inflation is going 7%. I mean, math doesn't add up.
But all the inflation that's happening, none of it's really his doing. It's not something that happened. No, it's not.
But where's the plan to get out of it?
Where's the plan to get out of it?
I'm with Brian. We got bigger problems than him going into Ukraine shaking
If he
hands.
did that, it would change the perception of him a great deal.
I disagree.
Well, you're wrong.
Okay, that's cool.
You're wrong. What do you think, Ray? Do I have any kind of an idea here?
I think it would help him, yeah, for sure. I also know for sure that he has nothing to do with the gas prices, and the inflation started before he got in office.
I know, but
I know you're right. People will blame him.
I think we all
he could
agree
do
with
like a
you,
George
Ray.
Bush mission accomplished. What?
I think we all agree with you, Ray. But
yeah,
I don't.
What Alex is saying, he's not
course you
talking
don't.
about all. He's saying that if he goes into Ukraine and shakes hands, that his numbers will go higher.
Yes, they will. What else
I think
could
they'll
they
go
do?
up a little bit. I do. Yeah, a little.
How did
they
that
will.
help when Trump went over the border to Kim Jong Il and shook his hand?
He didn't
Yeah,
go
but he fell
over
in
the.
love with him.
He didn't go over the border. He stepped over the border.
Same thing.
About
with his
what?
spurs, with his bad bone spurs.
With his bone spurs.
And they fell in love.
If he takes the ops team and takes out Putin and then shows a video, yes,
Oh,
then
yeah.
he'll win everybody. in the world.
Rambo president.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, I think that I just think that I would like to see him as a president show some balls. Okay.
Yes, he's in Poland.
Well,
I think that's pretty damn
that's
good.
not balls. I mean, being in Brussels, I love all those guys at the NATO. They're sitting around, they're deciding about, what can we do about Ukraine? What can we do about Ukraine? And well, wait a minute, isn't this a lovely buffet we have here? I mean, come on. Take off those suits and roll up your sleeves and God damn it, do something.
I agree.
People are being demolished. People are being killed. And while the Ukrainians are doing very well, I mean, they're doing exceedingly well.
They're not going to be able to sustain.
No, I think they will. I think already it looks like Putin's trying to find a way out of it by saying, well, we've got the southeastern part of the country, which they always had anyway. Because
he's not going to give up.
Yeah, but the bully just keeps going and going, I think.
He hasn't met any resistance from the rest of the world.
Nope.
Nothing that's going to make it.
Well, I think it's time we started handing his hat to him.
Well, if that happened, it would escalate it.
Well, so it escalates it. So it escalates it. Why did we say we were going into Iraq again? I think as a humanitarian mission, didn't we say that?
Weapons of mass destruction.
Yes, well, we were going in there for humanitarian reasons. Well, we can't go in for humanitarian reasons for a country that's being completely demolished.
It wasn't. Was it Russia that was in the last country before this that you talked about?
Syria?
Yeah.
Oh, what was the country that you mentioned right before?
Crimea?
No.
Poland?
No.
Well, what are you looking for?
I don't know. We with Saddam Hussein. Where was he from?
That's Iraq.
Yeah, they weren't nuclear, and two, we went in there for humanitarian reasons. Okay.
Colin Powell said they were 2 weeks.
I don't agree that
Colin Powell said to the world that they were 2 weeks away from a nuclear weapon.
Nuclear.
Yeah, but they don't know anything, and you can't even say nuclear.
And they weren't even close to a nuclear weapon.
That's what Colin Powell told
I don't
the
give
world.
a shit what
Colin
Powell.
He had a lot of
Colin Powell. Wait a minute, hold on a second.
Powell.
That's what he was telling the UN, and he went in there and even showed them this little vial of whatever.
Oh, yeah,
and
yellow cake uranium.
Yellow cake uranium, and later on, Powell said that was the most embarrassing moment of his life because he was told to go in there and say that, and it was a lie. That's what Colin Powell said.
He did it. And I don't know if he knew it was a lie or not. He might not have known. And I would give him enough credit to say he probably didn't know. But he did it, and the world believed it, and therefore we were in Iraq.
I'm saying, well, okay, I mean, let's go into a number of other countries where we've gone in saying we're going in for humanitarian reasons, and we've gone in, and we do that sort of thing. Terrific, that's our way of doing stuff. Unfortunately, we don't hold the same truth to be self-evident in this case. And this is a case where people are genuinely being slaughtered. I mean,
who was the English guy that wanted to do nothing against Hitler? Chamberlain.
He said he had Hitler's assurance. Blah 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 blah.
So maybe Biden is the new Chamberlain.
No, I don't think he's the new Chamberlain, but I don't think he's the new anything. I think he's just a person who I quite frankly feel is the only way to handle this, and the only way to stop Putin from doing this ever again is to go in there and say, you can't do this ever again. And I don't think it's going to cause a nuclear war, because I don't think that's what Putin wants, because he doesn't have the nuclear capability to beat NATO.
It doesn't matter. It's called mutual assured destruction. He's got 6,000 warheads. How many does he need?
That's right.
Well, how many are actually going to get launched? How many generals are going to say,
one's enough, especially if it hits Harlem. It'll be the end of the show.
Hey, well, that's fine with me. If I have to die for this cause, it's a worthy cause.
All right. Well, the rest of us, I don't think, agree with you.
Yeah, well,
I just want to interject.
And there are not many things I'm willing to die for, but that I'm willing to die for. Yeah. I don't think he's going to try shooting a single nuclear weapon. I think he's using that to bully us and to make us think, we can't do it because it might be World War III. Well, we're already up to World War 2.7. Another 3/10 can't hurt us.
Big Al, he's already used biological weapons in Syria. What makes you think
he's not going to use them in Ukraine? I think he will use them in Ukraine, unless we stop him now.
And what about these cluster bombs that are nuclear?
The cluster bombs aren't nuclear.
No, they have these bombs. They come in at a fairly.
But they're not. They're not nuclear, Phil. You said
they
nuclear.
Can be.
No, they aren't. They aren't. But they are banned.
They are. No, they're not.
They are banned by the Geneva Conventions, however.
Well, so are chemical weapons, but he used those.
Well, of course, but we can't let him do any of this. I think that if we don't stand up to him now, he's going to think he can go anywhere he wants and get away with this, because we're all going to be afraid of World War fucking III.
And we are.
We are.
Well, we shouldn't be.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Yippee-ki-yay, Shecky. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Ray just texted me and he said that I should tell you that he had to hang up because he had to deal with, he's sorry, he had to deal with some stuff in their house.
Oh. Hey, by the way, if anybody's trying to go over to my website, which is gabnet.net, I don't know what's wrong with it tonight, but a combination of things have been causing it to be all screwy. And it works better if you use Safari than if you use, what do you call it? If you use
the Microsoft
Safari.
one.
If you use Safari instead, and even the Microsoft, it works better. Less things come up on it. I don't know what the problem is tonight. I think the what do you call it? The on-demand stuff is being served by a company that I hired to run those files, and I think they're down or not working right or something because it's screwed up on their site too. So,
I just in a lighter note, Alan, Tony Allen's not dead, or actually he's recouped.
We got to go through
hit
this
by the
again.
train. He was hit by a train today. That's why he can't unblock you. But he's miraculously come to life again. So
Tony's got me. He doesn't need Alan anymore.
Oh, he's got you?
Yeah.
He wants them all. He wants world domination.
This is Phil's sign.
Yeah. What Tony wants is world domination when it comes to
Alex,
since you're not dominant.
Okay, what do you want to say?
I thought you thought that they weren't gonna. He wouldn't invade.
That's what he said. I said he was.
I
going to invade.
thought I thought he wouldn't invade because I thought it was a stupid idea, and I didn't assume he was as stupid as he's turned out to be. It's turned out to be a very bad move on his part because he did not understand that you don't go into a country where people are going to have to defend themselves, no matter what your imagined might is. Plus, he didn't think ahead. I mean, these people all drove their tanks in, and then all of a sudden there was no food for them, no gas, no supplies, nothing. And
NATO is thinking ahead.
And did you see today?
NATO is thinking ahead.
And did you see today or yesterday? The Ukrainians blew up a ship.
Good for them.
Yeah. But I mean, and they say that there is estimated that anywhere between, I think it's 12 and 17,000 Russians are dead.
I think that's about 10% of the force that's in that country now.
The force they had was, I think, 150,000. I don't know if all of them are in the country.
Might be 190 at this point.
But that's not the 1/10.
And if Belarus comes in from the south, is it? Then that's going to be a lot more troops that Ukraine has to fight on multiple fronts.
I'm still saying that I think that he's going to have his hat handed to him, and I think that the best way to do it is, number one, we got to get him all the stuff he needs, all the weapons that they need. But I think they could use a little assistance militarily too. And I just think that they're, what we do is we go in there citing the Geneva Conventions, plain and simple, which is for humanitarian purposes.
If he takes Ukraine, just give him Ukraine. He won't want anything else. That's what they said to Hitler.
Yeah.
Czechoslovakia, let him have it.
Isn't that what we said in 2016? Give Trump Georgia. He won't take anything else. And look what happened.
Yeah. By the way, Zoom has been freezing up a little bit the last couple of nights. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I couldn't get in tonight. I could watch the show, but I couldn't get in on Zoom.
Why?
Last night was a different story.
Tony blocked you.
No, why couldn't you get in on Zoom?
It wouldn't connect to you.
Well, then how did you get in here?
Well, on Zoom, finally.
He opened the door. I
rebooted the computer. I reset the VPN, all that stuff, and finally it worked. So
I direct wired my computer to the not to the switch, to the router.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
And my speed went up to like 700 something down, but still the same 32 up.
Yeah, we've been telling you to do that for months.
Well, I did it.
Okay, good. I'm proud of you. I'll send you a brownie.
Yeah.
That'll go good with your speed.
Diet brownie.
Yeah. But anyway, so you have an opinion on any of this, Josh, or are you just tired of hearing about Ukraine?
I mean, I don't know that I'm tired of hearing about it. I mean, I think that the countries of NATO have an opportunity to probably break Putin's back, and they're not going to take it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really not doing much of anything, if you ask me.
Who?
I think they're talking like they're doing a lot, so they can look good, so they can feel good.
NATO. Yeah.
But in reality, I don't think that they're doing a lot.
What do you think? What would a lot
Come
be?
on, they
What would you
blow up buildings all over the place?
Yeah. What do you think that NATO should do?
I would be perfectly fine with helping them in any way possible to kill any fucking Russian they can find in Ukraine, period. And I think the Ukrainians need to stop wasting their time taking Russian fucking prisoners, and they need to start eliminating any Russian they can find. I mean, the dirtier they get, and the nastier they get, and the harder they go, that's the only way the Russians are going to understand.
Well, there are a lot of Russians. They intercepted some communications with people on the ground there, Russians on the ground and Russian command. And one guy was talking to another and saying, "How is it?" And he says, "It's hell down here." And he said, "Well, you know, it'd be better to be a what's the word when you just kind of quit and go to the other side."
Republicans? No.
Yeah, Republicans. Then better to be considered a coward than fertilizer. You know, and they seem to think that the Russians, a lot of them are starting to defect. That's it. It's better to defect than to be fertilizer. And I think that's a good assessment. I think a lot of Russians are starting to feel that way. I mean, they're to begin with, they
need to handle that. But
they didn't.
What if everything stops today? Everything stops. He retreats it. And everything stops. I mean, what accountability does he have for all the stuff that he's done already?
None. Well, I mean, what do we do to do something where he is held accountable?
We deal with China, we deal with India, all the other countries that are supporting him.
No, hold on, Phil. You know, you're going off topic there.
You said, what do we do to make sure that something gets done? Nothing's going to get done.
There is no evidence that China is helping him. There's no.
It was an agreement.
No, there wasn't an agreement, Phil.
No.
What agreement? Find me an agreement.
Okay, I'll find you the agreement.
All right.
And don't find it from one of your right-wing sources. Find one from a news source.
Like I said, if you think if you think Putin is hard-nosed and is never going to give up. I mean, Stalin was certainly hard-nosed and was never going to give up, even more so than that. And like I said, when they tried to invade the Finns in 1940, the Finns said, "I'm not going to have it." Yeah. I mean, they killed every Russian they could find.
What was the case when they made all the Jews wear stars in, I think it was Finland,
Denmark,
or Denmark, and the king of Denmark started wearing a Jewish star. And everybody in the country put on Jewish stars and drove the Nazis nuts.
It's just, I mean,
okay.
I would be fine with committing to American fighters shooting down Russian fighters.
Yes,
I mean,
why don't we?
If you can't use your, arsenal, then.
Yeah.
Why don't we send
Phil is now going to regale us with what he found.
Okay, this is the New Yorker. I don't know if the New Yorker is left wing, right wing. February 7th, 2022.
February 7th. That's how many months ago?
February. That's 2 months.
It's before he invaded.
Right. It was before he invaded for a very good reason. In a new agreement, Russia in turn reaffirmed its support for Beijing's one China policy, and in a inalienable shit. I can't.
What is Beijing?
Phil, so far it doesn't say anything about.
A new era in the global order and short-term their respective territorial ambitions in Ukraine. So anyway, they have an agreement.
An agreement to do what?
To support one another.
It doesn't sound much.
A friendship between the two states.
Phil,
hold it. A friendship between the two states with no limits.
Okay.
No limits.
Yeah, but that doesn't say anything. That's just
that's
like
their agreement.
No, that's just like one of those boilerplate kumbaya.
What does no limits mean?
Phil, my friendship with you has no limits.
I know that, and I appreciate it. You are loved beyond no limit.
What's the agreement? I don't understand the agreement.
The agreement was that it would be a cornerstone of global power. And wait a minute, let me find the thing. In the short term, they endorsed the respective territorial ambitions in Ukraine and Taiwan. So.
Okay. There you go.
Taiwan now.
See what they were doing was
China gets Russia's support for them taking Taiwan.
Just and Russia
China's support.
That's what kind of support?
No limits.
What kind of support? What kind of support?
No limits support.
Well, what's no limits support? You see, all that they were doing was
China they were going to buy four.
Listen to me, Phil. Listen to me without joking. What happened here is that they have ambitions on Taiwan, and so Russia agreed that they would agree with their ambitions on Taiwan, and they would agree with their ambitions on Ukraine. Beyond that, you're not. You said they were giving them aid, and that is not what that was about. No,
the friendship between the two states has no limits. They vowed in a communique released after the two leaders met on the eve of the Beijing Winter Olympics.
You're bumpering around with it. And
it says there are no forbidden areas of cooperation. No forbidden areas of cooperation.
What does that mean, Phil? What does that mean?
It means they're cooperating.
Phil, you're wrong. You're dead wrong.
Okay.
Dead wrong. Anyway, and India gets munitions from them, so they owe them something back. Anyway, listen, it doesn't mean they're going to supply troops or anything like that. We got to go. Hey, Josh, good talking to you tonight. There we go. We just froze up again for a second. Thank you, Josh, and thank you, Phil, and thank you, Brian, and thank you, Tony, and thank you, Alan, and thanks also to our good friend Jeff. All of you.
I tried.
Yeah, give a big wave goodbye. I'll give a big wave goodbye back at you. Okay. There they go, folks. That's our citizen panel for tonight. Oh boy, what a yelling and screaming session that was. Okay, well that happens. I'm trying to get rid of them here. Hold on a second. Oh, there we go. Okay, so who knows what happened there? Anyway, I'll see you again. Let's see, on Monday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Facebook with our pop-up show. And then we'll be back here on Wednesday night, 10:30. Same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody. Have a good night. Have a good weekend.